वासुदेवाय नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्ठिके. Shall be chanting and making them follow 16. Last time 15 is over. Sunday I'll make them follow 17. For display 16. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 3, The Birth of Lord Krishna. Last class we discussed the portion of this purport for 3 verses, 15, 16 and 17. So last time we chanted the 15th verse. Today we will chant the 16th verse because I am going to continue the purport. It's a very big purport. Little by little we will cover in many classes. So the 16th verse, kindly repeat after me. Sannipatya samutpadya Sannipatya samutpadya Drishyante Anugata Iva Drishyante Nugata Iva Prak Eva Vidyamanatvat Prageva Vidyamanatvat Na Tesham Iha Sambhavaha Na Teshamiha Sambhavaha Sannipatya Samutpadya Drishyante Nugata Iva Prageva Vidyamanatvan Na Teshamiha Sambhavaha. Sannipatya Samutpadya Drishyante Nugata Iva Prageva Vidyamanatvan Na Teshamiha Sambhavaha. Sannipatya Samutpadya Drishyante Nugata Iva Prageva Vidyamanatvat Na Teshamiha Sambhavaha. Drishyante Nugata Iva Prageva Vidyamanatvan Na Teshamiha Sambhavaha. Sannipatya, because of association with this spiritual energy. Samutpadya, after being created. Drishyante, they appear. Anugataha, entered within it. Iva, as if. Prak, from the very beginning. before the creation of this cosmic manifestation, eva, indeed, vidyamanatvat, due to the existence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, na, not, tesham, of these material elements, iha, in this matter of creation, sambhavaha, entering would have been possible. Translation of the three verses, 15, 16, and 17. Together it is given. I'll read the entire translation. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The Mahat Tattva, the total material energy, is undivided. But because of the material modes of nature, it appears to separate into earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Because of the living energy, Jiva Bhuta, these separated energies combine to make the cosmic manifestation visible. But in fact, before the creation of the cosmos, the total energy is already present. Therefore, the total material energy never actually enters the creation. Similarly, although you are perceived by our senses because of your presence, you cannot be perceived by the senses nor experienced by the mind or words. Avangmanasa gochara. With our senses, we can perceive some things, but not everything. For example, we can use our eyes to see, but not to taste. Consequently, you are beyond perception by the senses. Although in touch with the modes of material nature, you are unaffected by them. You are the prime factor in everything, the all-pervading, undivided Supersoul. For you, therefore, there is no external or internal. You never entered the womb of Devaki, rather, you existed there already. So please repeat this translation after me. The Mahat Tattva, the total material energy, is undivided. But because of the material modes of nature, it appears to separate into earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Because of the living energy, Jiva Bhuta, these separated energies combine to make the cosmic manifestation visible. But in fact, before the creation of the cosmos, the total energy is already present. Therefore, the total material energy never actually enters the creation. Similarly, although you are perceived by our senses, because of your presence, you cannot be perceived by the senses, nor experienced by the mind or words. Avangmanasa gochara. With our senses, we can perceive some things, but not everything. For example, we can use our eyes to see, but not to taste. Consequently, you are beyond perception by the senses. although in touch with the modes of material nature, you are unaffected by them. You are the prime factor in everything, the all-pervading, undivided Supersoul. For you, therefore, there is no external or internal. You never entered the womb of Devaki. Rather, you existed there already. So that is the end of the translation. I won't read the purport. We'll discuss the purport little by little. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presh Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. These are prayers by Vasudeva to Lord Krishna. And in these prayers, in this particular set of 3 verses, Vasudeva is revealing something about the truth about the personality of Krishna, who has just appeared in an extraordinary form, and apparently he has come out of the womb of Devaki. But our experiences out of the womb of the mother, a small child will come out, an infant, which was actually getting the body fabricated in the womb of the mother by material nature's arrangement. But here, suddenly, 400 Narayana form has appeared. So what is happening? What's going on? So that is being explained by Vasudeva, that the personality who has appeared as the son of Vasudeva and Devaki is not an ordinary person, ordinary child, but actually the Supreme Lord. And the truth about the Supreme Lord is already explained in the Bhagavad Gita, but in the Bhagavatam, more details are given. For example, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Ajopisan avyayatma. Krishna says that he is always unborn. He never takes birth like the living entities. Aja. Avyayatma, and as far as his transcendental form is concerned, it never deteriorates. Our form, our body, seems to develop from a small combination of the secretions of the mother and father. From that stage, embryo, from the embryo it develops, and then the body of a small child, infant child, comes out of the womb of the mother, and then it seems to grow till some stage, and after that it remains and then starts dwindling and vanishes. So these 6 changes, birth or comes into existence, then grows or develops, then remains for some time, produces byproducts, and then dwindles and vanishes. Shadvikara is a characteristic of the body we have, is a characteristic of body of every single living entity who has taken birth in this material world. Krishna's form, even though he appears to take birth from the womb of Devaki as the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, is not like that. There is no Shadvikara. Ajopisan avyayatma. We cannot say our body is avyayatma. Our body is always subject to change. It cannot be maintained forever. For some time, yes, but not always. So, ajopisan avyayatma, bhutanam ishwaropisan. Krishna's position is always the Supreme Lord of all created beings, including the big demigods and the powerful Brahma, Shiva, Indra, Chandra, Surya, all these powerful demigods, Varuna, Vayu. He is actually the Lord of all these created beings. Everybody is a created being except Krishna. Krishna also appears like a created being, but he is not. Avyayatma. Aja. Ishwara. Bhutanam Ishwaropisan. He is the Lord of all created beings, which means that he existed as the Lord before the creation. He remains the Lord during the maintenance after this world is created. He remains the Lord of all the living entities. And that's why whenever there is some trouble, the Devatas cannot manage, then they immediately go to Vishnu, who is the Lord. And as far as Vishnu is concerned, never it is like, oh, Vishnu cannot solve the problem. Just like at the lower levels, some problem is there. Then there are superintending devatas who will actually handle the problem. Like amongst ourselves as human beings, if there is some problem which cannot be solved by our own leaders or by our masters or by our so-called protectors, then there is the superior devatas above us who are not visible to us, who are living in the higher planets and who are controlling. Just like scriptures explain, we think that we have got independent control over all our limbs of the body. But from the scriptures we understand that my hands, my legs, my eyes, my ears, my nose, my tongue, my stomach, my heart, my lungs, every single part of the body is controlled by one particular devata. So the devata's control is there. It may be perceived by us, may not be. Mostly it is not perceived by us. Only when we get that paralytic stroke, we realize, oh, I don't have control. I don't have control. Or sometimes, even without a stroke, the body becomes frozen. Let's say somebody is in a very cold country and there's a snowstorm and their heating system fails. It happened once, actually, when I was in the US. What happens? People inside will freeze, completely freeze, because they don't have any arrangements of, having a fire. Formerly, they used to have a fireplace. So no question of failing. They have stock of some wood and they will light that wood. And then that fire in the fireplace will give some heat in the severe winters. But now all these systems are there, electrical system and electrical heating and gas heating. Something happens to the electric supply or the gas supply, finished. They'll be freezing inside in the peak of winter. So when the body becomes frozen, nothing moves. You can't even speak. So why is it, if I have control, why is it that this body which I have control, I cannot speak, I cannot move my hands when there is severe cold? So which means that this body, Prabhupada explains very nicely elsewhere, that this works under particular conditions. That's why we are called as conditioned soul. This term Prabhupada uses, Prabhupada's usage of words is very, very, very specific and precise. Exactly the way it's described in the Shastra. Conditioned souls. That means, even though as spirit soul, we have got freedom, but not in the material world. The freedom for living as a spirit soul with a spiritual body which is unconditioned by material nature, that sort of body is only in the spiritual world, in our liberated state, in our conditioned state. In our present state, we are forced to accept one material body. And that material body works only under certain conditions. So we are called conditioned souls. Even though we are not this body, we are spirit soul, but still the spirit soul within the body is subject to the condition of the body. So we are called conditioned souls. Now when Krishna apparently takes birth, or Krishna appears in this world, Krishna does not accept a material body. This is the first point we have to understand. Janma karma chame divyam. That is not told about the living entity. Janma karma is divya. No, only Krishna's birth and Krishna's activities are divya. And the pure devotees, of course, like Prabhupada. But Prabhupada's transcendental form we cannot understand easily, because Prabhupada apparently has a material form like we have, and that form also seems to grow, seems to become old, seems to become sick sometimes, infected, etc., etc. So we can't appreciate. But Krishna's form we can easily appreciate. Krishna's form, the very appearance itself, Krishna's appearance, like Narsimha came out of a pillar, and such a gigantic form. Varaha, Lord Varaha, he came out of the nostril of Brahma as a small speck of dirt. Matsya, he suddenly appeared as a very, very, very small fish in a small body of water in the Kritamala river, actually. And when one devotee of the Lord, Supreme Lord Narayana, was actually performing some austerity, so he was worshipping the Lord through the water in that river. So he took some water in his palm to offer to the Lord. And then suddenly in his palm with the water there was a small fish. And that fish is who? It's Matsya, avatar of the Lord. The Lord has appeared in the form of a fish in his palm. So this is called Janma Karma Chame Divyam. Divyam. So to further explain that, Vasudeva's prayers, how is it transcendental? How is it that the Lord existed before the creation, or before even he takes birth, he existed in his original form? So that is being explained by Vasudeva here. He says not only the Lord, even the Lord's material energy existed before this creation, and the total material energy is as it is even after the creation takes place. There is no transformation actually. But we study, creation means the material energy gets transformed into, first of all, the 8 elements. And those elements are combined to form so many varieties of material products, including our material bodies. And then these are maintained for some time and finally they are destroyed. But actually here the explanation is that even though the total material energy is undivided, because of the gunas, it appears to separate into earth, water, fire, air and sky. Last time I gave the example of a cinema, experience of watching a cinema. Actually, the cinema is just some light patches on a screen which look like some people are there and they are doing some activity, they are interacting and they're trying to entertain you. So this whole cinema is simply an effect of a certain arrangement, a projector, a film which has been, produced out of some entertainment industry, and then some light is thrown onto a screen and some synchronized movement of the light patches with some sound effect. Oh, it's a whole movie experience, cinema experience. Similarly, this whole material world, the living entities simply are injected into this material energy, and apparently they take birth in different bodies, and then they identify with the body and start working, and they try to enjoy, and after some time they disappear. As far as that particular bodily appearance is concerned, they disappear. That's not only true for the living entities who take birth in this world, even the world itself appears to be created, they remain for some time, and then it is destroyed. It's finished. No more elements, no more planets, no more rivers, mountains, seas, no more these material bodies of any living entity. Even though the living entity is completely spiritual, but the body, the material body, the gross and subtle bodies, they appear to be created, maintained and destroyed. Appear because the total material energy is as it is. It is as it is. It is not actually differentiated. It is simply one effect of the 3 gunas. Exactly like the personalities who appear on the screen, some actor, some heroine, some hero, they are all as they are, as they were before the cinema was produced. And after the cinema is produced, they remain whatever they are. But here in the cinema, so many effects are being projected. Oh, the hero, he was attempted to be killed and his life was in danger. All that is simply one concoction. It's actually a concoction of whom not the people are watching the cinema. It is a concoction of a person who has made the cinema. It is his concoction. The creator of the film, it is his creation. And he completely controls whatever happens in the cinema. They're like foolish people will say, oh, now, what is going to happen? What's going to happen? But those who are not lost in that cinema, they'll say, why these people are crying? Why these people are laughing? What is there? There's nothing, simply some light patches, that's all. I don't know whether you have experience. I have experience of sitting through one cinema which I could not understand even one word. So it happens when we were traveling in this bus, formerly night bus. They used to project, they used to play one cinema in one TV screen in the bus. So some language, I think it was some Malayalam or some language, I don't know. Some language I don't understand. And then they were playing that cinema, and I don't understand one word of what is being said in that cinema. So simply some light patches, that's all. Somebody's moving something. For me, just light patches, that's all. Some effect on the screen, that's all. I don't understand anything what's happening. So similarly, if you don't identify with this body, if you are in your original spiritual existence, then it appears very, very funny. These living entities who are eternal, they identify with a body and they think that they are the body, and they do so many, apparently are doing so many activities which are actually completely controlled by material nature. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashah. You see? Gunai karmani sarvashah. All material activities are actually carried out by material modes of nature. Nature consists of 3 gunas, and those gunas are actually carrying out all the activities. But ahankara, there is something called false ego, ahankara. Ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. Think that, due to ahankara, we think that we are the doers of activities which are actually carried out by the gunas, the material nature consisting of the gunas. And the gunas, they are acting on the elements. Neither material nature is transformed. The total material energy, it's not transformed. It is as it is. Neither the living entities are actually working or acting, nor the living entity's spiritual identity is in any way affected. Their spiritual body, their spiritual position is not affected. Asangoyam purushaha. The living entity is always aloof from the entire material creation, the material body, the material mind, the material situation, the material world, the material activities. The living entity is aloof as spirit soul. But foolishly identifying with the body, the effect of the 3 gunas, the living entity is thinking, I am this body, I have taken birth, now I am growing up. Like foolish people in the cinema, identify with the whole story of the cinema. They identify with the whole story of the cinema. Like actually nothing is there except some light patches. That's all, and some sound and some presentation. Similarly, the presentation by Maya of this whole material world is being explained here. And that presentation actually is under the direction of Krishna. Maya cannot independently do any presentation. But Maya is being directed by Krishna. through the directors, the three directors of the gunas, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. They are the directors of the gunas, and they direct the modes to uh, present some changes, some interactions of the gunas interacting with the elements, the earth, water, fire, air, sky. Just like on the cinema screen, the different light patches seem to be interacting with each other. Right? What is the experience of seeing a moving picture that a person is lifting his hand in the cinema screen? You see one person, you identify, because there is a real person who is filmed, and then you identify because you know at the back of your mind, oh, that is the hero who is acting, that you know. Therefore, you don't think it is simply some light patch. You think actually that fellow has acted. Amitabh Bachchan has acted as the hero, and that's been filmed. So you're watching the film of his acting. So then you're seeing, oh, he's lifting his hand. But actually, in reality, that has no meaning with respect to the real world. You come outside of this cinema world into the real world, it has no meaning, it has no effect, or it has no existence even. It is simply one effect. Exactly like that, this material world, it is simply one effect of the three gunas, which is the gunas belong to the material nature, and they are directed by the Supreme Lord through his agents, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. And it is simply some creation, maintenance, destruction is happening simply because the living entities desire to enjoy materially, independent of Krishna. That's all. That is the only reason why this whole material creation exists. But then there is a higher purpose of the Lord, that He wants us to wake up to the reality, not be lost completely in this presentation of the illusory world. Krishna doesn't want us to be remaining here in this material world, making our own plans for independent enjoyment. He wants us to wake up to reality. And for that purpose, Krishna has made elaborate arrangements. He has given us the Shastra. He sends his representatives to preach Krishna consciousness. He himself comes. He speaks the Bhagavad Gita. Then he performs his transcendental activities. He wants to attract us to go back to his personal abode where we belong, which is our real existence. So all that Krishna has made elaborate arrangements. But then he also has made arrangement for our so-called enjoyment, independent enjoyment, because we are not independent, we cannot be independent. That is not our position. So he has made some arrangement to make us think that we are independent, so that we can get some so-called happiness or some pleasure. That also he has arranged, because we are adamant. At any cost, we want to enjoy independently at all cost. So therefore, he makes arrangement. But simultaneously, he also arranges that we come out of this illusion, we wake up to reality, and not simply suffer the illusory existence. This suffering is because we are missing our real happiness. We are missing our real pleasure. We are missing our real uh, um, world. Just like at night, somebody is dreaming, and especially if they have a bad dream, unnecessarily they are suffering just because of being in a dream condition. They are suffering. So they come out of the dream condition, the suffering is immediately finished. Similarly, we come out of this illusory existence, immediately our suffering is over. Of course, suffering is over means that illusory so-called enjoyment is also over. But then people will say, oh, if illusory suffering is over, that's fine. But why illusory enjoyment should be terminated? That's because there is real enjoyment in the spiritual platform. See, this knowledge that this whole world is actually an effect of the three gunas and therefore illusory. But there is real world, spiritual world, where we belong, and there is real happiness, there is eternal life. That people miss out from the scripture. They read Bhagavad Gita, but they don't understand from the Bhagavad Gita that Krishna has got his personal abode, which he says, Madhama. Yad gatva nanivartante tadhama paramam mama dhama. My world, my abode. My abode is not like this material world. My form is not like this material form that you have now got. My existence is not like your material existence. So that Krishna also is teaching in the Bhagavad Gita. That people completely miss out. There are big scholars of Bhagavad Gita, and they give big discourses, but they never tell their audience that you are not the body, you are spirit soul, you belong to Krishna. Krishna is everyone's well-wisher, Krishna is everyone's Lord. They never tell this. Instead, they tell some stupid, Krishna is not a real person, Krishna's form is not real, Krishna's world is not real. That's all part of illusion. See what a disservice they are doing. These philosophers called Mayavadis. Not only they have this philosophy, they also propagate this philosophy. They have written so many books on this false understanding. So many books. And so many institutions are there. Organizations are there. And this cheating business is going on. Because material world, we want to get cheated. Because we want false enjoyment. Because you want false enjoyment, therefore there is this false philosophy. You are God. Because we want to be independent of Krishna. So false philosophy says, oh, you are God, you are Krishna. No difference between you and Krishna. And what is the truth? What is Bhagavad Gita teaching us? Ajopi san avyayatma bhutanam ishwaropi san. Krishna is the Lord of all created beings, eternally the Lord, always. So that truth is being revealed in the Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavatam. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita gives the preliminary understanding of the truth, of the reality, of the spiritual truth. And Bhagavatam expands on that. So that expanded understanding in the Bhagavatam is explaining the principles that are there already in the Gita. Just like Krishna says in the Gita that the gunas are producing the changes, but the original reality is unchanged. Avyaya, Avyayatma. So that Krishna is explaining. So in this particular prayer, Vasudeva is praying to Krishna that uh, even though using our senses we can see you when you appear in your spiritual form, it is only because you give us darshan, not because we have got the power to see with these eyes your transcendental form. No, we cannot see spiritual form. We don't even know what is spirit. We don't even know what is spiritual form. Neither we can see with these eyes spiritual form. We cannot. But Krishna gives us the power to see when he appears. But he is giving us the power to see is with a specific purpose. He's got a very particular purpose. That Vasudeva will explain in a later prayer. But here he's telling that Krishna does not enter this world like we enter. Krishna does not become changed like our body is changing. His body does not change. Unchanging form, spiritual form, eternal form, transcendental form. Krishna has nothing to do with this entire material world. Neither he enters this material world. Therefore, it is said here, he does not enter the womb of Devaki. He never entered. He was always existing everywhere, all pervading super soul. As Paramatma, he enters this, appears to have entered this world, but actually he does not enter. He is already existing everywhere in his form as Paramatma. His form as Paramatma is always existing. He is present everywhere as Paramatma. And that is completely spiritual presence. It is not material presence. It is not like the material elements are spread everywhere. Material energy is spread everywhere. It's not like that. That is an effect of the gunas. But Krishna's presence is not an effect of the gunas. Krishna's presence is not an effect of the gunas. Krishna's presence is eternally there. Because he is the unlimited Lord, his consciousness is spread everywhere. His consciousness is unlimited. Just like the example is given in the Bhagavad Gita by Krishna himself. Just like the living entity, I, the spirit soul, I am very, very tiny, 1/10,000th part of the tip of the hair point in size. And I am here in the heart region of this body, material body. I am not this body. But my consciousness is spread throughout the body. Compared to the size of the soul, 1/10,000th part of the tip of the hair point in size. How big is the body? It's a gigantic body. But this entire body, we are conscious. Whether ant bites the tip of my toe or ant bites my some portion in my head, in my face, it bites somewhere here. Ant is a tiny creature. So that I can feel, whether here or any part of my body, there is pain, I can feel. My consciousness is spread throughout my body. Similarly, Krishna's consciousness as Paramatma is spread throughout the entire creation. All the universes, all the planets, all the living entities, all the atoms, all material atoms, everywhere his consciousness is spread because he is the unlimited Lord. And my consciousness is limited to this body. It is always limited to the body I have, whether spiritual or material body. My consciousness is limited to my body. Krishna, his consciousness is not limited. His consciousness is unlimited. So like this, the differences are explained. Vibhu Atma, Anu Atma. Clearly explained in the Bhagavad Gita. But foolish people, Those who interpret the Bhagavad Gita, they never understand this. So we should never read interpretations of Bhagavad Gita. We should read only the authentic translation and descriptions of Bhagavad Gita by acharyas like Prabhupada. And then we will understand the correct meaning of the Bhagavad Gita. So I'll stop here. Rantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.